Why do we keep recreating the same reality? Why do we keep having the same relationships? Why do we keep getting the same jobs over and over again? In this infinite sea of potentials that exist around us, how come we keep recreating the same realities?
So I know you've thought of this, right? Why do we keep doing the same things over and over and over again? You know, people tell me that, okay, they lost their jobs. And why did you lose your job? Well, because so-and-so didn't like me, because my boss was out to get me, because insert whatever random reason. 6 months from now, they get a new job, and sure enough, they go out to coffee, and they ask them what happened, and they say, well, I lost my job. And you ask why? So, well, my brother, my sister, my cousin, this person doesn't like me, never liked me, out to get me. And I would ask him, like, did they follow you? I mean, did the person just, falling from job to job? Like, how could this happen? How could this happen again? You look at people's relationships. They tend to have the same relationships over and over and over again. How many times can you marry the same jerk? Have you ever wondered why? Why do we keep doing the same thing? And this question is really profound when they say, out of billions of possibilities, out of an infinite sea of things that we could do in the world, why do we keep doing the same things? Why do we keep making the same choices? Why do the same people seem like they almost follow us around? In an infinite sea, how do we keep doing the same thing? So why don't you take your piece of paper out and write that down. Are there areas in your life where you keep doing the same thing? Over and over and over again, where the same things keep happening to you, or the same people keep being in your life, or the same jobs keep happening. And when you look at that, you really have to think about how does this happen? How does this happen that it keeps happening again out of everything that could be possible for me? And when you can look at that question, you can begin to really make some changes in your life.
We have options and potentials that exist, but we're unaware of them. Is it possible that we're so conditioned to our daily lives, so conditioned to the way we create our lives, that we buy the idea that we have no control at all? We've been conditioned to believe that the external world is more real than the internal world. This new model of science says just the opposite. It says what's happening within us will create what's happening outside of us. There's a physical reality.
Okay, stop and think about this for a minute. Okay, question number 1, I want you to write this down. Is it possible that we are so conditioned to believe that the external world is more real than the internal world? That we buy that we have no choice at all? That's mind-blowing, right? Is it possible that we've been conditioned to think that what happens is completely out of our control, is completely out of our realm of influence? So let's look at it this way, okay? This new science is saying that what's happening within us determines what is happening outside of us. So if you look at just a quick example, I lived in Frogtown for about 8 years, and Frogtown's the roughest part of St. Paul, which, well, isn't that rough because it's St. Paul. But, a lot of gang shootings and crime happens there. So I lived there 8 years. 8 years times 365 days. Okay. Never in that time was I robbed, raped, obviously murdered. Never had anybody stole anything from me. Nobody broke into my car. Nobody propositioned for drugs or alcohol. Nobody tried to have sex with me. Never. Not in every one of those 365 days times 8. My sister's been to Frogtown exactly 3 times. The first time, she almost got carjacked. The second time, she got propositioned for prostitution and drugs. And the third time, someone stole her wallet. What are the odds of that? What are the odds that 3 out of 3 times this would happen to her, and none out of the 8 times 365 days would happen to me? What is the probability of that? What they're saying is that what you believe to be true in the inside actually creates what happens outside. It's not as though you make people steal from you or make people want to take your car. It's that what you believe to be true is projected outward and people comply. People comply to what you expect to happen. And if you walk around the world thinking that nothing's going to happen, it doesn't usually happen. A similar thing, have you ever said to someone, don't fall as they fall down? And that just that belief that, oh, I might fall, actually causes that to happen. So when we're looking at that, that is so profound, it's kind of mind-boggling. You know, is it possible that we're conditioned to believe that we have no choices? That we have no options about what happens in our life? So, okay, stop for your pen and paper. Get it down. I want you to really reflect on this question. Write some stuff down that we're going to ask about in the Nearpod.
Yet, it only, if you want to put it this way, it only comes into existence when it bumps up against some other piece of physical reality. That other piece may be us, and of course we're partial to those moments. But it doesn't have to be either. It could be just some incidental rock comes flying along and interacts with this fuzzy mass of stuff, and sure enough, it provokes it into a particular state of existence.
And there were philosophers in the past that said, look, if I kick a rock and I hurt my toe, that's real. I feel that, it feels real, it's vivid, and that means that it's reality. But it's still an experience, and it's still this person's perception of it being real.
Scientific experiments have shown that if we take a person and hook their brains up to certain PET scans or computer technology and ask them to look at a certain object, and they watch certain areas of the brain light up, and then they've asked them to close their eyes and now imagine that same object, and when they imagine that same object, it produced the same areas of the brain to light up as if they were actually visually looking at it. So it caused scientists to back up and ask this question. So who sees then? Does the brain see? Or do the eyes see?
Okay, so this question is so profound that we need to go to Show Me, because I'm going to actually try to demonstrate to you. I'm going to try to show you what it is they're talking about. When they talk about, who sees, do the eyes see? Or does the brain see? What they're really talking about is what is real, what is reality, and how do we affect it every day, and how do we make these choices, and how do we keep moving our life in this direction. It's an unbelievably profound idea. So take a minute, write down your notes, and head back to Nearpod, and I'm going to do a quick show me on this.